Hi guys, today we're taking a look at the latest console offering from Razer. It's the new Razer Wolverine V2 Chroma. Details are in the description below, including purchasing links. So the people over at Razer sent me over this insane media pack, a box with their logo written across it, slight slot there, and if I open this up, and no surprise, it reveals a load of LEDs as you'd expect with Razer, and it's got their latest Razer Wolverine V2 Chroma controller together with the Kyra Pro gaming headset, both for the Xbox. If you're getting this, here's what the retail packaging looks like, and it's their top tier controller for Xbox Series X, S, Xbox One and PC. So let's open it up and take a brief look at what you get in the packaging. In the packaging, you get some instructions which are multi-language and some stickers. You get a cable which is 3 meters in length. It's braided, really good quality feel to it. And one end is USB-A and the other end is Type-C. It's got their branding on the connectors and it's nice chunky connectors on here. You get 2 thumbstick caps. One is slightly taller if you want to raise it up and has a standard cap on top, and the other one has a curved rounded finish on the top and is the standard height as the other ones on the controller. And finally we have the controller. So at the back we've got a Type-C connection, and this is a wired controller. There's no battery option for this. Reason behind that is to avoid any sort of lag you could potentially get if you're using wireless, and also you'd have to mess around replacing batteries with this. All of the normal face buttons are there, like the Xbox button and the menu button, etc. But you get Mecha-Tactile buttons over here and on the D-pad. These have an actuation distance of 0.65 millimeters, which is 35% less than the average membrane controller. Buttons feel really good, and we'll do a sound test later comparing it with an Xbox controller. There's an additional button just over here. If I hold that down and click up arrow or down arrow on the D-pad, it lets me adjust the volume, or holding it down and going left or right allows you to change the balance between in-game sound and voice chat. You've got interchangeable thumbstick caps, which are easy to remove and lock into position magnetically. And you can see a cross just over here and a cross in there, and it just locks into position as you place it over. And if I turn the control upside down, you can see they don't easily pop off. Now taking that off, just to show the additional ones you get. So this is the taller one. So if you wanted a bit more height on there, you can see there. The top cap is the same as the default one, and removing that, show the curved one. At the back you get standard triggers and bumpers, but in addition you get 2 extra mappable bumpers. Now for me these are perfect. The length of my index fingers are 8 centimeters, so as I'm holding it, it comes across quite nicely. If you did have shorter fingers, you may have to stretch across a bit more. Both the bumpers and the triggers have a good feel to them. It also features trigger locks where you can adjust the pull of the triggers. So seeing here, the long pull is perfect for racing games. If I lock it in now, you can see it's just a short pull on that. And that's perfect for FPS games where you want quick trigger action. There's also 4 extra triggers underneath, which are remappable, and they're positioned quite well so you don't accidentally press them. So holding the controller, you can see they're nicely out of the way. There's ample texture around the front and the back on here, so it's not easily going to slip out your hand. Feels good holding it. And you can see the curvature over here fits in quite well, where your middle finger rests nicely next to the additional triggers. You've got their Razer Chroma on either side here to light up the controller, and that can be controlled via the software on both the Xbox and PC. The feel in your hand is really good. You can see for yourself, fits in perfectly for me, and stretch isn't bad between the back buttons. And then coming underneath, the triggers here, easy to get to as well. In total you get 6 remappable buttons, so obviously these 2 and the 4 over here. As a side-by-side comparison to the Xbox controller over here, the Razer one is slightly chunky, you could say, and if we compare the positioning of the buttons and the thumbsticks, you can see it's a little bit more to the side here on the Razer one, so it's not identical. The thumb caps are slightly bigger as well on the Razer. Buttons over here are smaller, you can see, and the buttons up here have been moved higher up. Holding it straight over, you can see the Wolverine one comes in a little bit more at the bottom. Rear view, you can see there's no sync button on the Wolverine one at the bottom. And obviously that's because it's not a wireless controller. And there's the view underneath and the side view. You can see there's a bit more of a curve here on Wolverine 1 and more of a larger end. The grips on either end of the Wolverine are rubber, whereas the grips on the Xbox controller are just part of the plastic. So really in feel, I think the Wolverine feels much better. You get a better grip on there, and it's nice having the additional remappable buttons on here. And there's 6 in total that can be remapped. Now the software for this is identical on both the Xbox and the PC. It's called Razer Controller Setup for Xbox, but on your PC, you wouldn't use the Razer Synapse software. Now coming over to my PC, going over to Microsoft Store, you can see it's there. There's no cost associated with this, it's free to install. Now launching this allows you to create as many profiles as you want for different games or even for different people. And also it lets you remap the 6 additional buttons to any of the 19 available functions. It's very simple to make any changes on this. If I go to Profile, Edit, Assign Buttons, and you've got the 6 buttons over here. Clicking on one of them, you can see the assignable function here. Now, coming back from there, you could also remap view and menu as well if you wanted to. And if you wanted to revert it back, obviously restore to defaults. Now back from here, then you have thumbstick sensitivity. So this is quite a cool option here because you can take down the DPI on the thumbsticks or take them up if you wanted to. So just to show, first of all, if I move it, moves quite quickly. If I make the adjustment now higher up, you can see still the same, but if I press the trigger underneath, hold on to that, moves faster. And if I take it down now, turn it off, it's fast still, hold on to the trigger, you can see much more detailed. And the same is available on the right thumbstick too. So it's great to have that functionality and really useful if, for example, you're going to be sniping in an FPS game and it's a bit like dropping the DPI on a mouse. Coming back from there, then you've got the vibration on here. So this allows you to adjust the vibration levels on the grip trigger haptic motors, and it even allows you to turn them off as well. And just to see it moving, back from here, and then lighting, and this is where you can go between the different chroma effects. So let me briefly show them. So breathing, spectrum cycling, static, and then finally none, so you can turn it off if you wanted to. And back from there, and that's all the options available. And what's pretty good about this is if you set it on your Xbox and you moved over to your PC, those settings already apply, so you don't have to amend them again. And the same applies going back again. It's a nice bit of customization available, and it's good to see the same interface on both the Xbox and the PlayStation. Let's do a sound test between Xbox controller and Razer's controller, and I've also got my sound level meter here so you can see the levels from there. So in summary, really impressed at this top tier gaming controller from Razer. Lots of customization possible and a quality feel to it. Negative wise, it's not cheap at 3 times the price of a standard Xbox controller. And in terms of layout of the thumbsticks and D-pads, a little bit more spaced out and a slightly chunkier feel to it. But that really isn't a major thing, just something to get used to. But nevertheless, an awesome controller and well worth getting. So there you have it. You made it to an end of another video, and I hope it's helped anyone thinking of purchasing this. Details are in the description below, including purchasing links. If you're new to the channel, I hope you can subscribe and hit that bell icon to be informed around my next release. And don't forget to smash that like button as it really helps me out. Thanks for viewing and see you in the next one.